And we are live with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video Q&A for December 26th, Friday, the day after Christmas Day. And I was kind of debating whether or not to have a live video chat today because I was saying, day after Christmas, it's the middle of the holidays. I don't know how many people are going to tune up to or show up for a live video Q&A today, but you know what? I'm consistent. I'm going to make it happen. I'm showing up, and if anybody else shows up, so be it. We're going to have ourselves a live Q&A. And if there's a small turnout today, then so be that as well. We'll have a small turnout. I'm cool either way, but you know what? I decided I'm going to make the effort and show up for anyone who does want to tune into our live Q&A every week. And this is a great chance now to get a head start on the holidays because right now I know fitness and nutrition very often gets pushed to the side, the holidays, and I'm no different. My nutrition got pushed to the side yesterday as we enjoyed a delicious Christmas dinner and there was some desserts. So I enjoyed that guilt-free, but you know, uh, still got in some exercise yesterday and I've still been keeping up with my regular exercise throughout the holiday season. So I'm looking at that as a win, but it's kind of inevitable unless you're really strict that you're going to be eating a little bit more than planned over the holidays. You know what? That's fine, right? It's okay to do that because this is an important time of year where we get together with friends and family and break bread together and celebrate over some delicious food. And that's part of our culture. That's part of family and socializing and connection. So I have no problem with doing that as long as you know how to start again after the holidays are over. And for me, start again is like start again for your next meal, not necessarily, oh, I'll wait until January 1st or whenever. And the next thing you know, one meal spirals into a week or a couple weeks, or the holiday spirals into a holly month. And the next thing you know, like, oh, things really went off track, right? Instead of just putting on a few pounds of water retention, like you piled on 10 pounds of blubber. And we don't want to be in that situation. But even if you are in that situation, you can still always pick up the pieces and start again where you left off. So who's joining in here? I see we've got Robert joining us. Welcome, Robert. Glad to have you tuning in. As you're popping onto our live stream here today, if again, I am anticipating it's going to be a smaller crowd, so we might end up having a shorter video Q&A here today than we normally do. But for those of you who are tuning in, hey, feel free to introduce yourself and let me know if this is coming through loud and clear. I'm assuming it is, but I always want to double check, make sure that it is coming through loud and clear, because every now and then we do have some audio and video issues. All right, let's just see here. I think there was a question submitted earlier that I wanted to address. I'm trying to find it there now. Oh, right here. Gotcha. Robert actually submitted a question earlier today that I wanted to address here while I'm waiting for those of you who are tuning in live to post your Q&A. Robert said that he has been using a new elliptical bike at the gym, and he wants to know how accurate is the readout for the calories burned. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to hear your thoughts about this on the Q&A today. All right, great question. And when it comes to the calorie burned with any form of exercise, it's an educated guess because there's a lot of different variables that come into play. First off, some of the machines, when you step on them or get on them, if it's a bike or a treadmill or an elliptical or stepper or whatever, it may ask you to enter in like your age, your body weight. And if it does that, it'll give you a more accurate calorie representation. Other machines don't ask for any of that, and they just kind of ballpark everybody in the same category. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because a bigger person doing the same exercise, like if a 300-pound man walked a mile and a 150-pound man walked a mile, they're going to burn different amounts of calories based on the size of the person. Obviously it takes more energy to move a bigger person 1 mile than it does to move a smaller person. So you need to factor that in there. But the calorie burn on cardio machines, it's a ballpark estimate. And for most people, like a general rule of thumb that I like to kind of use is you're probably going to burn about 500 calories an hour. That's doing like moderate intensity cardio. That's not flat out, high intensity intervals. And that's not just like scuffing your heels, stroll on the beach easy going. But a good moderate intensity where you're getting your heart rate elevated, you're breaking a sweat, but you can still sustain it in that range, which what most people refer to as like as a zone 2 cardio. You're probably going to burn around 500 calories an hour, depending on the size of the individual and, of course, how hard you're going. What the machine says, sometimes machines are way off. Like sometimes they're very on the low side. A lot of times they're actually on the high side. And just my personal experience when it comes to elliptical machines in general, I've often found a lot of the ellipticals at the gym tend to err on the high side. So meaning what I mean by that is if I did an elliptical cardio workout, the perceived exertion for that elliptical cardio workout versus if I did the same perceived exertion on the treadmill, the elliptical will probably say I burned more calories than the treadmill did, even though the perceived exertion and the duration was the same for both. So again, it's just a ballpark estimate. Take it with a grain of salt. I mean, I don't read too much into it, but you can use that as a benchmark. And the thing is, if you're always using the same machines, you can use that as a progress gauge because it's going to be consistent, saying, hey, okay, today's workout I burned 500 calories, the next workout I burn 600 or something like that. Like you can use it as a ballpark gauge, but I wouldn't read into it too much because it's just an educated guess at best. And that applies for all the different calorie metrics. Unless you're hooked up to like you're in a lab where they got the oxygen mask and the breathing apparatus where they can actually calculate out your power output, how much oxygen you're breathing in, how much CO2 you're breathing out, and all that stuff, and they can calculate it all out. I mean, it's just a guess at best, right? So if you're trying to create a calorie deficit, the best thing to do is look at your weight changes over time. So for example, if your goal is to lose weight, based on your habits, your exercise, your nutrition and everything else, what's the end result like after a week or two of doing that? Are you seeing a net negative on the scale, meaning that you're losing weight? And if you are, great, keep it up. You're on the right track. If you're not, or if you're gaining weight, then you probably need to change some things around. And ultimately, that's what's going to determine if you're truly in a calorie deficit or not, is your body weight changes over time. Not so much getting hung up on, oh, this machine said I burned 500 calories during this workout or whatever. It's just another tool or another gauge that you can look at, but don't read too much into it. That's my my word of warning for you right there. A big one that a lot of people do is like they'll burn up so many calories and think, well, okay, now I'm justified and I can eat what I like because I did cardio. But one thing that you'll find, you don't burn as many calories working out as you think you do. Right? Like one cardio workout doesn't justify, an all-you-can-eat Christmas dinner or something like that. Again, you probably burnt 500 calories during that cardio workout for an hour. It's very easy to sit down to a slice of Christmas cake and just pound back that 500 calories or more in the matter of a few minutes. So the old saying of you can't outwork a poor diet certainly applies when it comes to the calories in, calories out equation for sure. We got Billy joining in. Merry Christmas, Savage Beast. Merry Christmas to you as well, Billy. Glad to have you joining in. Adrian saying it's coming through loud and clear over in the UK. Appreciate that. Much appreciated. I'm glad to have you joining in. Happy Christmas to you in the UK. Billy saying, when I started watching you, I couldn't run 50 feet. And yesterday I ran half a marathon. Keep up the great work and the videos. Well, Billy, my friend, if I had a hat, I would tip it to you. That is a huge accomplishment. A half marathon is quite the feat of cardiovascular endurance. Congratulations. That is respectable for sure. And a great way to kind of get that fitness start or keep that fitness going over the holidays. I mean, what an awesome goal to set for yourself, that Christmas Day half marathon. Again, congratulations. That's huge. Really well. Who else we got there? We've got Louis joining in, catching you live today. Welcome. Glad to have you joining in. Yeah, again, I wasn't sure how many people were going to be tuning into our live Q&A today, being the day after Christmas and holidays and all that, but I'm still keeping her going. And Sean's asking, how am I doing today? I'm doing quite well. One thing I've got a little hack in my throat. like that, if you don't notice. So I just took a cough drop earlier. Hopefully that soothes it, but fingers crossed it's not a cold coming on, but I do have that little tiny bit of a tickle in my throat, and it's just, yeah, annoying. But other than that, I'm feeling good. Had a great Christmas holiday, had a good Christmas dinner yesterday. It was a quiet Christmas for us, but a good one nonetheless. And I even got some exercise in because Mother Nature gave us a nice free workout with a big dump of snow yesterday, and we're going to be getting another dump of snow tonight. So I always chalk up the snow shoveling as a free workout. And I actually look forward to it because it's variety. It's cross training, if you will, because it's movements that you normally don't do. Like, it's hard to duplicate shoveling snow in the gym. So that movement pattern, pushing the snow with the scoop, shoveling it, and all that. I mean, it's good muscular endurance training. That's what I refer to it as, because it's high intensity cardio, not quite strength training. It's more in that muscular endurance conditioning training, but still, it's a good workout for sure. So that's what I did yesterday morning. Worked up an appetite for Christmas dinner, and now tonight we're going to be getting another dump of snow. So that'll be another workout tomorrow morning out with the snow shovel for sure. What else we got there? Adil's joining in saying, how has fitness improved your life outside of fitness in terms of attracting women and confidence? Well, I haven't attracted too many women. I attracted one, right? And I've been married to her now we've been together for over 25 years, right? So, yeah, it worked in that sense. As far as confidence, I mean, I'm being silly here now, but I just want to. This is actually a serious question because confidence is a big reason why a lot of people get involved with fitness to begin with, and I can certainly relate to that. Like when I was in elementary school, and then even going through like junior high and high school, when you're going through that uncertain time and getting picked on and bullied and trying to find your place in the world and everything else, like fitness was a big motivator because one, I mean, I wanted to be able to stand up to the bullies. I wanted to be able to handle myself in those situations. So I wanted to build up my confidence and of course the physical strength. And that's what led me to working out. It also led me to martial arts and things like that when I was in school, like in elementary school, junior high, high school, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, from a physical point of view, it certainly does help to build up your confidence, but there's a limit to it because once you get physically fit and you've kind of got the outer shell, if you will, of okay, I'm in good shape, but sometimes you still have that little boy inside a big shell of muscle, and this is actually quite common in sports, athletics, and especially in the bodybuilding fitness world, where you might see someone and they look like an absolute beast in the gym, like huge, jacked, like the man is built like a brick shithouse, but inside still struggles with that confidence and self-esteem. And that was me for a lot of years. And one thing that really helped me to kind of round it out was joining Toastmasters. And I mentioned this several years back. I've done some videos about it, but that's actually how I got started with the whole YouTube channel and just becoming more comfortable communicating, because I was a very shy person, very introverted, very shy. That's just my natural demeanor. And Toastmasters is a public speaking group. And I joined that to develop my voice, to become more comfortable speaking in front of people, and to develop that side of my confidence, because I had the physical side. I was competing in bodybuilding since I was 17. So the physical side wasn't the problem, but it got to the point, like throughout my 20s and 30s, I'd be more comfortable on stage in a pair of posing trunks than I would be on stage with a microphone, and which kind of makes it weird in a way. But from a bodybuilding point of view, okay, I got the physical side mastered. Okay, I can get on stage, I can be comfortable in my own skin physically, but I wasn't confident with myself, communicating or speaking. So that's what led me to Toastmasters. And I found by doing both, building up the physical and also developing my confidence in dealing with people, the social skills and the communication skills with Toastmasters, it was a really powerful combination. And that has certainly helped a lot. But the physical is huge. Absolutely. I mean, they go hand in hand. To try and say one is more important than the other, I wouldn't. I don't like the brains or the brawn type of thing. I think both are equally important. So Fitness, absolutely. It's huge for improving your confidence, and but it can only take you so far. You also need to develop the communication skills, the people skills, and all that stuff as well. And there are other avenues that can help you with that. And one that I've utilized and would recommend for anybody who's dealing with confidence issues, Toastmasters. And if you're not familiar with it, you never heard of it before, whatever, literally go on Google after this video chat and just type in Toastmasters. Toastmasters clubs in my area. Like, this is an international federation or international group, and there's Toastmaster meetings in virtually every significant size city throughout the world. I was going to say every major city, but even small cities. Like, I don't live in a major city. I live in a small city, but there's Toastmaster clubs here. So, I mean, look it up. They're literally all over the world, international, North America, Europe, throughout Australia, Asia, Middle East, everywhere. Toastmaster clubs. So wherever you're tuning in from, chances are, if you Google search Toastmasters, you'll be able to find a club in your local area. And nowadays, they even do them virtually. They kind of do them kind of like what we're doing now. You can do like a Toastmaster Zoom meeting, which it's not the same as speaking in front of people. Like, speaking to a camera and a screen is not quite the same, but it still gives you more training and more practice to speak and develop your skills. And it's a great community where you get that feedback and basically learn by doing. Right? You're thrown into the fire, if you will, and you learn by doing. And it's something that I've done for years, and I don't regret it. It's one of the best decisions that I ever made. But yeah, that's something. I mean, that's a deep rabbit hole we could go down for sure. But I actually made some videos talking about that in the past as well, and several people have asked about it on the video chats. But that's what I would recommend, right? The fitness side, as well as the actual communication and people skill side. You need both. What else we got joining in? Happy holidays. It's hard to do a calorie deficit currently, but most of my friends are on a calorie deposit or overload because food is great. Want to know your eating strategy for this? All right. I kind of touched on it earlier when we started the video chat, but when it's the holidays, and I've made videos about this as well, the actual holiday itself, I don't go into a family dinner or a get together and announce to everybody, I'm on a diet. Like, I don't want to draw attention to that. And I don't even want to pretend that I'm on a diet. If anything, I want to go in under the radar and draw as least amount of attention to myself as possible when it comes to nutrition choices. So when you're at the holiday table, taking up your food and stuff, for me, I will fill up with the turkey and the veggies and stuff like that. And when there are some desserts, okay, yeah, sure, I'll have a small slice of Christmas cake, or I'll try a cookie or something. And I try to downplay it as much as possible, but I'll still enjoy in all the food and festivities, but I don't make a pig of myself. I enjoy in moderation. But the key is, as soon as that meal's over, very next day, very next meal, get back on track again. And try not to let that spiral into, oh, it's the holidays. What's the point? I'll start again in January or whenever, because you turn one meal then into like a week of poor eating habits. Whereas if you do it smart, you enjoy that one meal, savor it, enjoy it, total guilt-free, but just start again for your very next meal. And even if you're having multiple meals throughout the holidays, which most people are, like, you're having Christmas parties, and then of course Christmas Day and New Year's Day and whatever in between, you're having several little get-togethers like that. Enjoy those individual meals, but in between, get back on track. Get back on track with your exercise, get back on track with your regular eating habits, and try not to let it all spiral out of control where you're just eating crap nonstop because it's there in abundance. And that's my strategy for this. That's what I've done. And even leading up to the holidays, like, I didn't stop working out. I kept consistent. And if anything, I even bumped it up a bit, knowing that I'm going to be consuming extra calories over the holidays. So I want to create a more calorie expenditure to make better use of those calories. Okay. Right? Realize the bigger picture. It's just a bump in the road. It's not the end all be all. Right? Well, yeah, I've made videos about this leading up to the holidays, but we're right in the middle of it now. So the best thing we can do now is just, all right, you had your holiday meal, you enjoyed it, start again. So like today, get to the gym, get a workout in, like do the best you can today. Make the best choices you can for your very next meal, your very next workout, right? Don't let it spiral, or don't procrastinate saying, "Oh, I'll wait till whenever." No, start now, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be better than it was before, right? Something's better than nothing. Who else we got joining in? We have Skidadee Doodah D. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate sleep quality as it applies to fitness success? Happy holidays to you and your family. Sleep is one of those underrated things that a lot of people kind of just brush off to the side, but it does make a big difference. And where you'll really notice this, not so much when you are sleeping well or sleeping okay, is when you're not sleeping well, when you're losing sleep. And what I mean by that is if you're under a lot of stress, or you're having health issues that prevent you from sleeping, and you're tossing and turning, and like you're lying awake half the night, or something like that. Like if you're not getting good quality sleep, that's when this becomes apparent. But it's one of those things, like if it ain't broke, you don't notice it. Like if you're getting good enough sleep, you'll probably say, sleep's not a big deal, right? Because you're well rested, or you're adequately rested. I mean, there's always room for improvement, but if you're adequately rested, you're probably not going to notice much. But if you are sleep deprived, and this is a serious issue, then yeah, it's definitely going to hinder your recovery. It's going to hinder your workout performance. And the thing about sleep is it's not just like one bad night of sleep. Like everybody's probably going to have a bad night of sleep from time to time. You know, maybe you're sick, maybe you're traveling, maybe, stress or something, family stress or work stress or whatever, every now and then something kind of derails your sleep habits, and you might have a bad night's sleep every now and then. Every now and then is not a big deal, right? But it's when it's chronic, when it's like multiple nights in a row and it's going on for weeks on end, where you're just getting poor sleep stacked on top of nights of poor sleep. This is where it really drains on you, and it can have a negative impact on your mental health, your physical health, your recovery, everything. I mean, nothing good comes about in a sleep deprived state. Let's just say that. So yeah, it is huge. And I will say this, if you are currently suffering with this, like you have poor quality sleep, it's something you might want to look into. Like talk to your doctor, get some advice, because sometimes the band-aid solutions, like, oh, take melatonin or something like that, and it may help or may not. But sometimes there's a lot of other issues, work issues that could be done there. Sometimes it's mental work, especially if you're dealing with a lot of stress and stuff like that, stress management. Sometimes it might require medication, and who knows? Like I know people who've had to go that route. Other times it might be physical challenges. Like I know a lot of guys get the CPAP machines because they're waking up in the middle of the night because they're not getting enough air, and they're literally stopping breathing throughout the night. So I mean, there's a lot of what could be the root cause for sleep problems are many. But all I'm saying is if you do have sleep problems, and it's something that it's chronic, meaning it's not just, oh, I had a bad night's sleep every now and then, but it's something that's persisting, get it checked out, right? Get it checked out, because this is a very important aspect. This is going to impact your whole quality of life, basically, not just from a fitness point of view, but everything, mental, physical, your whole quality of life in general. We have David joining in saying, good day, Lee. Hope you're having a great Christmas, you and your family. And we are indeed. Thank you much for the Christmas wishes. I'm glad to have you joining into our video chat. Haley, I know you're not a fan of low carb or keto diets, but what are your thoughts on insulin resistance? How come obese people lose fat fast on those diets? All right. Okay, great question. Excuse me. That's that little hack in my throat I was telling you about. Excuse me. The reason why I'm not a huge fan of a low carb keto diet, and we need to define like what low carb is, because a lot of people think low carb is no carb, right? Meaning like, oh, I'm eating whatever I want. Christmas dinner, cakes and cookies and pizza and whatever. No restrictions whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm on a diet. Now I'm just eating like boiled chicken and broccoli, or some crazy extreme diet. Like it's one extreme to the other. And I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of low carb. Like you can certainly lower your carbs and make it work from a fat loss point of view. But I'm not a fan of the extreme diets where you try and eliminate carbs entirely, because carbohydrates, especially natural unprocessed carbohydrates, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and like oatmeal and potatoes and rice and good quality complex carbohydrates like that gives you energy. That's what allows you to train hard in the gym. And when you have adequate glycogen in your stores, adequate carbohydrates, it allows you to train harder, get better results in the gym, feel better, recover better, keep your strength and energy high, and sustain that energy. If you're running on zero carb, try and go work out, and it's not going to happen. Like you're going to feel flat, depleted, low energy, brain fog, because it's not just your muscles that run on glycogen and carbohydrates, it's your brain as well. Your brain is a massive carb gobbler. Like 20% of your energy intake is the brain, right? And if you're on a low carb diet, very often that's when you get a lot of brain fog as well. You can't think straight. And I can certainly attest to that, because I remember back when I was in college, I was getting ready for a bodybuilding show, and I was following a very strict contest cutting diet, basically like a boiled chicken and broccoli diet. And that was the worst semester I did in college. Granted, I got lean all right, but it was the worst I did in college, and I didn't feel good. My workouts were crap because the energy was just down the toilet. But yes, you lose a lot of body fat. You lose wet fat in the short term, but it's not enjoyable. It's not sustainable, and it has negative impacts in other areas. So that's why I'm not a fan of low carb diet as a long-term solution, because generally the pitfalls are not worth it. And that's why people will go on a low carb diet. If you're really strict and motivated, yeah, you might lose some weight in the short term. But how do you feel when you're deprived? How do you feel when you're low energy? When you got brain fog, when your muscles are flat and depleted, and like you're trying to work out in the gym, it's like, I can't even get a pump. I don't have any energy. Like, oh, I just feel like I'm running on empty all the time. Like that's not a fun sensation. That's not a fun feeling. And that's very often why people quit. And not only that, not only feeling the physical effects, but your hunger, your cravings, your appetite is just going through the roof. Right. So everything in your body is telling you to go and eat. Like your energy's low, you're weak, you're not thinking straight. And then your hunger and your cravings are just building and building and building and building. And then in a moment of weakness, very often people just say, like, screw it, it ain't worth it. And they go out and they binge eat, and they'll go and they'll eat whatever. They'll order a pizza, they'll go eat a pack of cookies, or, to have a binge, whatever it is. And then because their body is so depleted of glycogen and carbohydrates, once their body absorbs all that junk, they're going to rebound, and they're just going to like soak it all up just like a sponge. And, they could literally put on like 10 pounds overnight just from water retention and bloat. And it's just not a sustainable way. So I would rather, like, instead of thinking this all or nothing, just dial it back. Like, focus, instead of just cutting it out entirely, let's focus on making better carbohydrate choices. Let's focus on making better food choices, and then upping your exercise so that you can make this a lifestyle. Now, again, how come people lose weight fast on these diets? That was the question. I'm just explaining why I'm not a big fan of those diets. Because anything that you do consistently that can create a calorie deficit is going to work. And especially if someone is obese and they eliminate carbohydrates. Just say you got someone who's 300 plus pounds and they say, okay, I'm going on a zero carb diet. Well, first off, when they deplete all that glycogen out of their system, all that glycogen, depleting the muscle glycogen, the liver glycogen, and everything else, along with the intestinal bloat, that also retains a lot of water. For every gram of stored glycogen, your body retains 3 to 4 grams of water. So you lose all that glycogen, all that water retention, and the scale drops. I mean, it's not uncommon for people to go on a low carb diet and probably drop 10 pounds in the first week. Now, it doesn't mean that they lost 10 pounds of body fat. Basically, it's 10 pounds of water and bloat. That's what they lost. But because the scale dropped so quickly, a lot of people are like, whoa, this is awesome. I cut my carbs and I lost 10 pounds. Woohoo. And then they'll probably keep going, ride that wave of motivation and be all excited about the short-term weight loss. But then what I just explained, all the negatives start to kick in. You know, the hunger cravings start to build, the brain fog, the low energy, and feeling flat and fatigued. And then it's just a matter of like, how long can you suffer that out for before in a moment of weakness, you just say, screw it, it ain't worth it. Because the weight isn't just going to continue to fall off like it did in the first week. Because once you've depleted all that glycogen and water, that's gone. Now you're actually back into true fat burning mode, if you will. And fat comes off a lot slower than water weight does. So now yes, as long as you can sustain a calorie deficit, yeah, you can still lose, you know, pound or two a week or whatever it is, dropping that. But you got to deal with the low energy, the brain fog, and the irritability and the hangriness and all that. That's where it's challenging. And the thing is we got to find a way is how can we balance this so that it's enjoyable, but still tipping the scales in favor of a calorie deficit and something that we can sustain long enough to actually get long-term permanent results, not just a crash diet, you know, starve yourself, then binge and yo-yo and regain it all back again, right? We don't want that. We want something that can be a sustainable lifestyle approach. And I don't even like the word diet, actually. Because it has that short-term negative connotation to it. I like to focus on just better eating habits. And a lot of times, even my coaching students, like when friends and family see them and they're like, oh, wow, you've lost a lot of weight this year. Like, what diet are you on? Or what are you doing? And they almost don't know how to answer it. But I always like, you're not even on a diet. And that's the thing. They got to explain, like, I'm not dieting. I'm just eating better. I'm making better food choices and I'm exercising more consistently. Like a prime example, one of our coaching students, Andy Reimer, he's followed the Muscle After 40 for the past year, and he's lost over 100 pounds. He started his weight loss journey at just over 300 pounds. And right now, before Christmas, he got down to like 192. So he lost over 100 pounds in his weight loss journey. But it wasn't from going low carb or anything like that. It was from being good enough and being good enough consistently. And one of the things he shared with our private group is this past year, he logged 300 workouts. Now, that's not all strength training workouts. Some of those are like strength training and cardio, but 300 exercise sessions in the last year. And I just want to share that. Like, if you worked out 300 times a year, I mean, that's basically 6 times a week. You're getting some exercise 6 times a week. Where would you be physically in a year from now? If you did 300 workouts in 2026, like compared to someone who probably on and off again and maybe did like 100 workouts or less, the person who gets the most consistency over the long term, they're going to be in better shape. They're going to be leaner, stronger, healthier, fitter, more muscular, more energetic, like all the pluses that we're looking for. And the thing is you can't get in 300 workouts a year if you're running on empty, if you're starving yourself, if you're on low carbs, you got nothing to run on. So you need to find that balance where you're nourishing the body on the cellular level. So you actually have some energy to run on, which allows you to put in that work. And this is a concept I like to refer to as we want to eat more and burn more so that you're raising your metabolism all around. And so again, that's why I'm not a fan of a starvation cutting diet. Even though it can work in the short term, it rarely ever works long term. Like, I've never met anybody yet who likes to go hungry for a prolonged period of time. And one of the things I always want to emphasize, whenever you're thinking about starting a diet, ask yourself, like, is this something you could see yourself doing as a lifestyle? Like, could you see yourself doing this a year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years, or whatever? If you can't, then it's probably it's a short-term thing and the results are not sustainable. All right, what else we got there? Back at it. Good evening. Merry Christmas. Keep abs engaged when shoveling snow. Good tip. There we go. Thanks for joining in. Glad to have you tuning into our video chat today. Adil saying, how often do you take a deload or a complete rest week? Is one better than the other? I like deloading personally, and how you go about it, it's you know, we could argue it both ways. One, I just want to zoom out and look at the big picture first. The average person, and when I say the average person, I'm talking about like the average gym goer, the average person, like even amongst my coaching students that I'm working with, we don't need deload weeks or rest weeks because honestly, most of them are not consistent enough to earn those rest weeks. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying it like it is. Life very often throws you rest weeks when you don't expect it. For example, like, oh, you're working overtime and family situations and stuff happen. Like, oh, I was so busy this week, I couldn't get to the gym. Well, you ended up having a rest week, at least a rest week from the gym. It not necessarily feel like a rest week because you're probably working and whatever other things, but physically and in terms of muscular stimulation and fitness wise, it was a rest week. So a lot of people don't need rest weeks, especially family men, working professionals, people with a lot of stuff on their plate, because they run the other side of the problems. They're struggling to be consistent, not struggling that they're in the gym too much and they're risking overtraining. They're in the other spectrum where they're not in the gym enough to overtrain, right? So that's a real situation for a lot of people. So, for the average person, in fact, I would say for most people listening to this, rest weeks and deload weeks don't even apply. But for those of you who are laser focused, you got the blinders on, like you're in the gym day in, day out, you're following a routine and you're regimented. And there's a few, I mean, you're few and far between, but you know who you are, right? They're the regulars, right? The hardcore faithful who are in the gym working out day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out. Like, this is part of who you are, as part of your identity and your lifestyle. And you're not missing workouts. For those people, deload weeks and rest weeks, that comes into play. And how you can, sometimes people structure them into a workout. Like maybe they'll say, okay, I'm going to go hard for the next 3 weeks, and then I'm going to do a deload week, and then I'm going to go hard for the next 3 weeks, and then do a deload week. And if you're really structured with everything, sometimes that works well. Other people kind of play it by ear. And like, if I feel I need a deload week, like I'm starting to feel a bit burnt out, my joints are feeling achy, I'm just a bit tired, I'm just going to do some easier workouts. I'm going to cut back on the volume, cut back on the intensity, maybe do some easier exercise variations and do a deload that way. And that's the way I do it personally. I do a deload week based on how I feel. I don't structure them into my program. I let my body tell me when it needs a break. Right? And again, I'm no different than anybody else. Sometimes life determines when I need a break, in terms of, you just get busy with work and family and other responsibilities that sometimes the workouts have to take a back seat. So you unintentionally get a bit of a deload or some extra rest thrown in that way. But when things are going well, like the schedule's on par and like you're hitting the workouts and you're pushing yourself and you're really stressing your body to the point where it's borderline overreaching, overtraining, that's when you need to factor in deload and getting in that extra recovery. All right. And as far as is one better than the other, it depends on the situation. Like that's what I was trying to share all this for. It depends on the individual situation. Okay? For a serious athlete, especially like, let's just say someone was training for a competition and they really went, 100% peaked for that competition. I see no problem in taking a full rest week after that competition, just to mentally and physically let your body rest and recover. But for the average weekend warrior gym goer, I think it's better to keep that habit of consistency alive. So that's why I'd rather see someone just dial it back and deload versus take full, complete rest. Because sometimes people are creatures of habit. And if I'm going to take a week off the gym, then that week turns into 2 weeks off and then 3 weeks off. And the next thing you know, it's been a month and they haven't gone to the gym, right? It can spiral negatively, right? So I'm more of a fan of a deload than a full on just not showing up and not doing anything. All right. I find exercise is just as much mental therapy or mental benefits as I do physical. So I actually enjoy exercise. I crave it. I look forward to it. And if I didn't exercise, I mean, like that's it's like your natural, it's like active meditation, if you will. I mean, it just helps to keep me grounded. So I find that I need that. Now, I'll vary the intensity based on how I'm feeling and how hard I want to push it. But I always want to get that movement in there. I find movement is medicine. Are there any ways to improve digestion, reducing gas or bloating? Yeah, that's a big topic for sure. And I suppose a lot of people are probably feeling that now after Christmas dinner. Digestion, gas, and bloating, especially if you ate too much and ate foods that you're not accustomed to. But one thing that, just a big picture perspective, portion control. This is huge because regardless of what you eat, if you just eat too much in a single sitting, you're going to feel bloated. You're probably going to have gas. It's probably going to be uncomfortable just from sheer too much volume in your stomach. So instead of gorging on big meals, probably break it up into fewer, smaller meals. That's one way to improve digestion and reduce the side effects of gas and bloating and discomfort. Another thing is just paying attention to your foods. Like if you notice that, hey, certain foods cause me to get gassy or bloated, like every time I eat this particular food, I just, oh, something doesn't feel right. Then maybe that's a cue that something is wrong there. Like this is how a lot of people discover they have intolerances. Like for example, like if I know my father in later years developed a lactose intolerance, right? Because he was getting gas and bloating every time he ate foods that were high in lactose. Some people have intolerances to other types of food. So if you notice that, it's something you might want to pay attention to and be a bit more mindful of your food choices, or even look into supplementing with digestive enzymes to help with breaking that down. Like in the case of lactose, you can take lactose supplements, like they're lactase or lactase, I believe it is a supplement that helps to break down lactose into simple sugar so your body can more easily break it down and digest it. Same thing, like there's all kinds of digestive enzymes to help break down protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So that may help as well, supplementing with the digestive enzymes to break down and just improve that. But being mindful of your food choices and purposely eating smaller portions. A good cue that I recommend is trying to get comfortable stopping your meal before you're stuffed, like trying to gauge your appetite. Because I know everybody probably threw this out the window yesterday at Christmas dinner. I did. Guilty. I just ate and ate and ate until I was stuffed. And then a couple minutes later, they say, "Oh, would you like some dessert?" And I said, "Okay." And then I stuffed down some dessert as well. So like overfull, right? Bloated beyond belief at that stage. But for most of the time, you want to get comfortable with, like, you eat a plate of food, for example, and you might be at that stage where like, I think I'd like to go back for second helpings, but no, I'm good. I'm going to stop with one plate or one serving. Like that's enough. I'm going to stop. And then just wait it out for say 20 minutes and see how you feel. And chances are, like after you give your brain and belly some time to link up, you'll probably feel comfortable and you won't need to go back and have second helpings, because we have to realize it takes our brain and belly 20 minutes to link up. So by the time the food hits your stomach, it takes about 20 minutes for that to register to your brain that you're full. So if you just start eating fast and eating a lot of food quickly, like you can overfill yourself within 20 minutes before you get the signal like, "Oh my God, stop eating." Right? But if you pace yourself, eat slower, and purposely eat smaller portions, very often you can get just as satiated with less food. And not only is that better from a calories in, calories out point of view, but it's also better from a digestion and nutrient utilization point of view as well. Right. So that's another thing. One more that you can also do as well, after you eat, go for a little walk. Like there's been studies done on this, like the 10-minute walk after a meal. And I know a lot of athletes have actually started incorporating that as part of their routine. Like after dinner, we're going to go for a little 10-minute walk around the block. Right. And that serves two purposes. One, the movement and activity helps to aid with the digestion, helps to circulate that food, helps to manage blood sugar control and everything else. So it's very helpful from that point of view. But simply knowing that you're going to go for a walk after a meal versus just, "I'm going to go lie down and veg out on the couch," that will purposely stop you from overeating, because you're like, "Well, I don't want to be so full that it's uncomfortable to walk." Right? I want to stop before I'm stuffed so that I can actually feel good and go for an easy walk after dinner. That little strategy alone would be great for aiding the digestion and just help your body to utilize that food. And of course, while you're out walking, you probably work out a few burps and farts along the way to reduce a bit of that pressure internally. But that's a great strategy, and I've utilized that one a lot as well. Just doing some And it doesn't necessarily have to be walking. Like if you got some cardio machines at home, like you got an exercise bike or something, or a treadmill, I mean, you could do that as well. But, even if you're out and about, just, hey, you went out for dinner, then just go for a walk around the block afterwards, right? It's a great way to help to improve digestion and utilization of that food. What else? And again, if this is a serious thing, like you're getting serious gas and bloating and digestive, then you can go get some nutritional tests to see if you are intolerant to lactose, or if there's already like irritable bowel syndrome or stuff like that. It's more serious sides of this. But if it's just mild, you can very often treat it on your own just by making better and smarter choices. All right, we got Aqua Hero. How many sets per week per muscle for peak hypertrophy? That's a great question, and the answer is it depends on the individual, right? Like it's not just a one size fits all answer here. But I'm going to unpack it to give you some context. When I'm training someone, the first thing I always want to look at is like, what are you currently doing right now? Right? Like, what's your current fitness routine? If there is no current fitness routine, then honestly, anything is better than nothing. We just get started, right? We don't need to overcomplicate it. We just need to focus on getting something done consistently and just let the consistency compound. As people progress, like if you were asking me this question and you've got, say, like 5 years of consistent training under your belt, and I don't mean 5 years of on and off again training, but I mean 5 years where you were on, like you've been doing 300 workouts a year for the past 5 years, and you are spot on, consistent. We consider you in the advanced category of fitness. The answer to that question is going to be totally different than someone who's been sporadic, on and off again, all over the place. Right. And another factor here as well is how hard are you training? Like, because not all sets are equal. If someone's doing a set stopping short of failure, and then someone else is doing a set blood and guts Dorian Yates style, where they're going to failure and then probably throwing in some forced reps on top of that, that's a different level of intensity. So, there's a lot of variables here. And then we have to factor in the individual component of what's your fitness level, what's your work capacity, your age, your recovery, what other stressors do we have going on in the real world? Like, are you a student who basically you go to school and then you go to the gym, and like that's basically the extent of your responsibilities? You don't have kids, you don't have a wife, you don't have a family, you don't have a full-time career and other responsibilities and all that other stress stacked up on your plate. Because when it comes to recovery, it's not just workout recovery in terms of sets and reps in the gym. It's you got to recover from that, but also the demands of real life. Like if you're in a stressful family situation and you got a lot of demands there, and then you're in a stressful work environment and you got a lot of demands there, that's compounding. Even though it's not physical work in terms of demands on the muscle, it's demands on your central nervous system and on your mental capacity, and that can impact things as well. I mean, it also impacts your quality of sleep and rest and recovery. So what I'm saying is, like, once we start peeling back the layers of the onion, there's a lot of layers here. And that's why I don't like to just throw out a cookie cutter answer and say, hey, everybody got to do 12 sets per muscle group per week. Some people might need to do 12. Some people might need to do more. Some people might have to do way less. And I don't know until we actually start seeing the individual and then testing it. And even if we have all that information, like I'm just using an example, like when I'm coaching people one-on-one, like the first thing we do is we'll have a conversation and we'll say, okay, like what's your work life? What's your home life like? What's your fitness schedule like? And we kind of decipher all these things. And then based on that information, I say, okay, based on my experience and people I've worked with in the past, and what I've learned over the last 30 odd years I've been doing this is what I'd recommend we start with. Let's give this a try for the next couple weeks and see how your body responds. And if it responds favorably, great, let's keep going, right? Let's keep doing that. If it doesn't respond favorably, then okay, let's go back to the drawing board and make some adjustments. And it's always this back and forth conversation based on how things are responding in real time. Because like when it comes to questions like this, or even designing workout programs and diet plans and whatever, like you could get the best trainers, the best coaches, the best nutritionists. All they're going to do is give you an educated guess on what they think is going to work based on their experience. Like that's it. Like, nobody has a crystal ball to know exactly what's going to work for anybody. It's a lot of trial and error, but like you have that background of knowledge there and the experience so that you can try something and say, okay, is this working? If it is, great, let's keep going. But if it's not, then let's go back to the drawing board, make some adjustments and constantly tweak. And you'll find that we're always going to be in that phase of constantly adjusting and tweaking, right? And that's like a nonstop progress process. Right? So again, it's a long-winded answer, and I'm not really giving you a specific here, but the reason there is because there is no set number, right? Now, if you want me to help you to decipher that, I mean, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, drop me an email and we can kind of chat about this, offline to see how many sets would be optimal for you in your specific situation. But, without knowing more about you, your lifestyle, your work stress, workload ratio, and all that kind of stuff, I can't just randomly spit out, hey, you need to do X number of sets, because it really depends on a lot of variables, right? There's a lot more to it than just 3 sets of 10, or some cookie cutter recommendation like that. We got Michael joining in. Can I build a good physique doing just squats, bench, and deadlift? Technically, yes. I mean, I've gone through phases with very simple programs like that. And some of those programs have actually been some of the most productive programs. Like I remember back when I was younger, I was going through a block where I did basically just that. I worked out 3 times a week, and each workout I did squat, bench, and deadlift. And I would actually alternate the order. So workout 1, I do say squat, bench, deadlift. Workout 2, I do bench, deadlift, squat. And then workout 3, I do deadlift, squat, bench. What it was, I just changed the starting exercise, changed the order, but I still did all 3 exercises 3 times a week. And that was basically it. And I just worked those exercises, nothing else, just kept it simple. And every week I just focused, I just want to get a little bit stronger with these exercises while maintaining decent form. And I did that for several months in a row. And I actually built up to lifting decent numbers with the squat, bench, and deadlift. And sometimes simple abbreviated programs like that for a short duration. When I say a short duration, I'm talking like, say for like 3 months or something like that. You can make a really good block of progress in that 3-month time frame. And then what I'd recommend doing is once you start to plateau with that program, which eventually you will, like every program is going to plateau. Like no matter what program it is, you can have a program designed by God himself. Eventually it's always going to, your body's going to adapt to it. It's going to grow, and then it's going to plateau, right? Every program goes through adapt, grow, plateau. Once you go through the full phase and you've plateaued and it's like beating my head against the wall, I'm not getting any results from this anymore, then it's time to switch to do something else. So what I did in my case, I went through 3 months of the squat, bench, deadlift program, milked it for what it's worth, reaped the results. And then afterwards, then I went back into a more traditional bodybuilding style program where it's like a body part split routine, hitting all the different muscle groups, more isolation exercises and things like that. And just the switching from the 2 styles of training, I actually found it very complementary. I mean, it was obviously complementary on the body, but it was also mentally stimulating as well, because after 3 months of just doing 3 basic exercises over and over again, it gets a bit monotonous. And then having the variety of doing the body part split routine and doing isolation moves and different exercises, it was fun and exciting, and it added that element to the workouts as well. But yeah, I mean, you can utilize a short-term phase like that to make some really good progress. And, some of those simple programs like that, like I'm thinking the 20 rep squat program, or like the Russian squat program, or Bill Starr's 5x5 program, or some of these basic programs, which are kind of variations of just a very simple program like that. They can be very effective when done in short bursts, right? But it's not something you're just going to do that like for the rest of your life. I mean, it's going to ride its wave, right? You're going to do it for, say, like 12 weeks and then switch up to something else. But then you can always go back to it later on. But in a single burst, I'd say 12 weeks would probably be the max that you would ever do something like that for. We've got Brian joining in. Merry Christmas to you as well, Brian. Glad to have you joining into our video chat. Next question we got here. Eagle Eye John saying, what do you think of the vibration plates? What you stand on, losing weight and build muscle? Do they work? And hope you had a good Christmas. All right. I know what you're talking about. There's different machines that are, for lack of a better word, that's exactly what they are. They're vibration plates. I've utilized them in some gyms that I've trained at, like some higher end hotel gyms. I've seen these at. That's where I've actually utilized them before. And it's unique for sure. And it's certainly, if you're not familiar with what it is, it's basically like a platform, with a rubber foot plate on it, and usually some handles that you can hold on to as well. And then you turn it on, and and it just shakes, right? And it just vibrates. So sometimes, like, I've tried like doing body weight squats on it while it's vibrating, or doing push-ups on it while it's vibrating. And the thing is, I mean, most people say, like, what's the point? Like, this is stupid. But I actually found it really good from, like, reducing muscle soreness, almost like helping to increase blood flow and circulation to that area. Like, even just standing on it, like if you got sore legs and you just do some body weight squats while it's vibrating, like that vibration going up through your legs and stuff, I found it actually helped to just increase circulation, and it temporarily at least helped to ease up some of that soreness. If you got the DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, I found it actually good in that sense. But from a muscle hypertrophy point of view, like, would I go out and buy one? Heck no. I mean, these things cost thousands of dollars to buy these, a good vibration plate. If the gym has it, I mean, I'll probably incorporate it as an add-on exercise for situations like I mentioned. Like if you're really sore and you just kind of work the kinks out of the muscle, so to speak, I would probably use it in that situation. But I would never go and invest one for my home gym, or, like virtually everybody who's like an athlete or a bodybuilder or a powerlifter, they probably got the results that they got not because of vibration plates, right? It's just another tool in the toolbox, and it's a weird tool at that, right? But I have utilized it. That's what I'm wanting to share, and it's, I'm not saying it's useless, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get it, put that way. And as far as the whole losing weight thing, that's a crock of shit. Like you can't shake the fat off, but it does help to increase more muscle activation, because like if you're doing push-ups or squats and the plate is shaking, like there's a lot more muscle activation and stuff like that, and you actually feel the muscles vibrating and shaking, so it can help to break up like scar tissue, increase blood flow and circulation. And I actually found I felt more loose and limber after doing it. But again, it's not going to speed up fat loss. I mean, fat loss at the end of the day is calories in, calories out, not shaking. Right? If you look at some of the old school workout videos and stuff, like from back in the 50s or whatever, all these weird vibrating belts and stuff, and these what was another one? There was like this it was like a seat that rotated or whatever, just kind of like shake the body physically, whether it's a vibrating belt or a rotating seat or something. I mean, it might feel good from a massage point of view, but it's not physically burning fat, right? It could help to massage the muscles. And that's the way I would look at that vibrating plate. I'd look at it almost like a massage tool, if anything else, right? It's not necessarily a fat burning tool, but it could help with a massage and therapy that way. Got AJ joining in. Happy holidays to you as well. Brian saying, I just started running and it sucks. Any tips to make it funner? How can you make running funner? Pace yourself is one thing, because if you start running and you're just going flat out from the get-go, it's going to hurt. With any endurance activity, learning how to pace it is key. And this could apply to running or swimming or cycling or anything. If you just go out there and you treat it almost like you do weight training, like, hey, I got to go all out, rep to failure, go big or go home, it's going to suck because you're going to run and you're going to go too hard right from the get go. And within 5 minutes, you're going to be like, this sucks. And you're going to be sucking air and bent over at the waist, unable to continue. Learning how to pace yourself is the key with endurance. And this is something that comes with practice, and it comes with getting around other people. And one of the things that I've found, if I were to give you one single tip that would make this funner and amplify your running ability better than anything else, find some local runners or a running group and join it. Like, that's the single best thing you can do. And anybody who lives in a decent sized city or community or whatever, chances are, if you start searching around, there are groups that get together for running, or groups that get together for cycling, or different activities. Joining a group is the single best thing, because not only will it have the camaraderie, but you'll also be surrounding yourself with other people who can share tips and suggestions and strategies. And one of the best things that I ever did to help improve my ability as a cyclist, improve my fitness and my knowledge and everything else, and my consistency, was joining a cycling club. Like, I'm part of our local cycling federation. I compete in our local cycling races, and I do a lot of the group rides and the sportif rides. And then we also have like a group of friends, and we often get together, in the summertime, get together throughout the week, but especially on the weekends, get together for group rides. And that makes such a big difference, because you can learn from other people, have that camaraderie. And when you're going through some challenges, right, you got other people to bounce ideas off, and people who've been there and done that. And it can really help you. And it also helps with the pacing side of things. Because one thing we always notice this, like with races and with group rides, when somebody's new, sometimes they'll come and they'll start off way too hard. Like I've seen this prime example at our last provincial bicycle race that I competed in. First lap, there was so many new people. Like, this was their first time racing, and they're fighting and jostling for a position and trying to get right up to the front of the pack and stuff like that. And then, like a half hour into the race, they're getting dropped, right? They're getting spit out the back end, because people who were like slow and steady wins the race, they're just passing on by them, like after about a half an hour into it. And they didn't even make, the first lap of the route before they were getting spit out the back. And so learning how to pace yourself is key, and that will make it a lot more fun and enjoyable. Right. But again, getting around other people, the camaraderie that you will learn from that is huge, right? I can't state that enough. And we could also apply that to weight training as well. Like, I know a lot of people, they say, well, I want to work out by myself. I want to be the lone wolf and do it all on my own, right? Get a home gym and just hide away down in my basement and work out. Well, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I have a home gym as well in my basement, but I love getting out around, going to the commercial gym, going to the public gym, getting around other people, making friends in the fitness space, at the gym, and just having that camaraderie and that connection. That makes it a lot more fun and enjoyable versus just doing it on your own. So if you're running on your own, it's probably part of the reason why it sucks. Get around some people that you can feed off their enthusiasm. That will certainly help make it more funner. That's probably the single best tip that I could give you, right there, because that would spiral into many other tips just by being around people who are more experienced. What else we got there? Robert is joining in. Trying to do a workout strength training 28-day challenge. Currently on my 5th day, doing 2 compound and 1 or 2 accessory exercises each day. What do you think? Too much, or is it safe to do? A 28-day challenge. I'm not against these challenges. From a practical point of view, like, are you going to make like a life-changing transformation in a 28-day challenge or any type of challenge? No, but it could start the spark, if you will. It could plant the seed, right? That could be the thing that gets you going, because sometimes we need a challenge to rise up to. Like, we all know we should exercise, we all know we should eat right, we all know we should do something, but a lot of times we won't do it. But then if you're challenged to do it, that might be the thing that pushes you over the edge and actually gets you to take action. So go for it. Right. The one thing I will caution you on is when it comes to some of these long-term challenges. Like I'm assuming this, you're expected to work out every single day for the next 28 days. That's an admirable goal, but if you miss a day, I don't want you to say, oh, I knew I couldn't do this challenge. I worked out for, I don't know, I worked out for 10 days in a row and then I missed a day. Oh, this sucks. I quit. I knew I couldn't do it. Like if you miss a day or something goes wrong, forgive, correct, continue, and start again. Like don't beat yourself up over the mishaps. Just keep chalking up the wins and just keep moving forward. And sometime throughout this challenge, especially if you haven't been working out consistently, which I'm assuming you probably haven't, that's probably going to be a lot. And, you know, maybe you're going to get 10 days in and you're like, man, this is a lot of work. Like I'm feeling extra tired. I'm feeling extra sore. Maybe you'll have to scale it back and just do a really easy strength training workout on that day, you know, just to kind of go through the motions, right? Don't be afraid to dial it back if needed, right? That's one of the things. And we see this a lot. People have this all or nothing approach. And I'll give you a prime example that pretty much everyone can relate to. Think of someone trying to quit smoking. I mean, New Year's resolutions is coming up. I'm sure there's bound to be some people out there who are saying, you know what, 2026, I'm giving up the cigarettes. I'm going to quit smoking. And they might, you know, stop, you know, January 1st rolls around. That's it. Okay, no more cigarettes. And they might go a week or so not having a cigarette. And then maybe in a moment of weakness, they say, oh man, the cravings are too much. And they cave in and they have a cigarette. And instead of celebrating like, hey, I just went a whole week and I only had one cigarette. Wow. Like normally I smoke 10 or 20 cigarettes a day. I just went a week and I only smoked one. That's huge progress. Good job, me. They look at it as a massive failure. They say, oh, I knew I couldn't quit smoking. I never even lasted a week before I gave in and I had a cigarette. And they beat themselves up and they say, well, screw this. I'm going to just start smoking again. So instead of looking at it as a failure, like if you don't complete the 28-day challenge, let's just say you screw up on day 10 or day 15 or whatever, that's okay. You got 10 or 15 days of workouts in. Like that's better than it was before, right? Keep going, pat yourself on the back, celebrate what you did do, and keep moving forward. Same with like quitting smoking. Like if someone they never had a cigarette for a week and then they caved in and they had one, all right, that's huge progress. You went from smoking 20 a day to one in a week. Congratulations, you're on the right track. You're moving forward. Start again. See how long you can go before you have the next one, and focus on making progress versus striving for perfection. And this is a game changer. If you can reframe setbacks and look at it as a win versus as a failure, which is the way a lot of people are hardwired to do. They look at when they screw up, they look at it as a failure instead of looking at it as a win. Right? If you can reframe it and start stacking up those wins, that's going to be a huge step in the right direction. But yeah, I mean, my advice for you, go for the challenge, give it a go. And you know, this could be the thing that spirals into a lifelong fitness habit. Hopefully it will be. And speaking of challenges, I should mention, in the new year, we're going to be running another Lose Your Gut Challenge. And some of you who've been regulars to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding community probably heard me talk about this before. And maybe you've even participated in a past Lose Your Gut Challenge. But in January, we're going to be kicking off a Lose Your Gut Challenge. And every time I do a Lose Your Gut Challenge, I try and see, like, how can I improve upon from the previous challenges? And one thing that we are going to focus more on is really trying to create those mindset shifts, and not just giving you the tactics of like, okay, here's the foods, here's the exercises, here's the tactical stuff, but really trying to create some mindset shifts of how we can reframe fitness and nutrition and have it set up as a lifestyle and not just something that you do, but something that you become, right? So you become the type of person who is fit and active and healthy, and you're looking at this from a different lens. So that's what I'm really going to try and incorporate this time around into the Lose Your Gut Challenge. But make sure to stay tuned to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, as well as follow me over on Facebook, because that's where I'm going to be sharing more about the Lose Your Gut Challenge as it comes closer. But keep that in the back of your mind. 2026 in January, we're going to be kicking it off on the right track with the Lose Your Gut Challenge. And if you would like to lose your gut and get in better shape and make 2026 the year that you finally get your shit together, health and fitness wise, then you might want to check this out. Could be the launch pad to get you started on the right track. All right, folks, I'm going to get ready and clue it up. I know there's still a lot of questions coming through here. I'm I was surprised we had as many people tune in as we did, because I knew a day after Christmas I was a bit sketchy. I didn't think there was going to be a lot of people joining us, but we did have a good turnout nonetheless. So again, thank you for tuning in, and thanks for everybody who participated. I always enjoy chatting with you every Friday. And again, we'll be back again next Friday, same time, same place, with another live at 5 video Q&A. In the meantime, have yourself a great one, and I'll talk to you then. Take care. Over and out.